There we go. So Shannon, she leads the largest information security podcast and video series on the web, educating countless individuals about security and privacy for the masses. With over 1,500 plus videos produced, Shannon has developed a career in InfoSec as an influencer and supporter for up-and-coming professionals. Shannon's career mixes the worlds of hacking and open source while introducing the concepts of social media to the security-conscious mindset. Using her years of experience creating a new job title that didn't exist a few years ago, Shannon will share her thoughts on personal branding in the InfoSec industry. Not only to get the job you want, but to be respected as an equal in the community. And before I ask her to come forward, I've just remembered something I forgot. I think you all want to see Tim the Toolman's Tailor terrible tool of torture for today that I use to convince computers to do things when they otherwise would misbehave. So, allow me to produce it. Please don't freak out. Skill tour. I'll see what's in the shed tomorrow. For the time being, I'd like you all to please to welcome Shannon to the stage.
Don't mind the camera that I have here. This is a part of my social branding. There's a reason for it. Can you see everything? Okay, cool. So one of the really fun things about personal branding is you do everything that you can to promote yourself so that you can end up doing more keynotes, like this one. So, see if it works. Yes. This is my contact details if you want to get in touch with me after the talk or anytime during the convention. @Snubs on Twitter and Instagram. Snubsy.com is my website, and then youtube.com/Shannon Morse is my personal YouTube channel. But I do have 3 others if you're interested in hearing about those. Trust me, you do not want to run 4 YouTube channels. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And then a little bit of housekeeping for myself as well. Thank you, Stephen. Photos are perfectly welcome. In fact, I would love it if you took photos and shared them on Twitter. Yay, personal branding. But please refrain from taking photos of people in the audience unless they consent, because yay, I am all about InfoSec codes of conducts at InfoSec conferences, and I totally respect other people's privacy. And then share those, of course, with LinuxConf AU. They also have a 2019 one on Twitter too, @Snubs, and the hashtag is LCA 2019. And if you have any questions, I'm not taking questions at the end of my keynote, but I'm more than happy to chat with you in the hallways, because yay, LobbyCon is a thing. And thank you to LCA. I really appreciate being here. This is a huge opportunity for me, not only to be visiting New Zealand and hanging out with some awesome Kiwis. I heard it was okay if I say that. Okay, good. Yay. But also because this is a wonderful chance for me to grow my career. I'm still fairly new at speaking, and this is only the 3rd time I've given a keynote speech. So it's still very nerve-wracking, and it's scary to get on stage in front of so many people. So please be nice. And today's agenda is going to mostly just be about my personal experiences with developing my career, building your own career from scratch, whether that's in InfoSec or in open source or what have you, building your personal branding, and making sure that you keep your security intact, because that's very hard to do online, dealing with haters, yay, women on the internet, and how I found purpose in what I do. So hello. Who am I? I'm Shannon Morse. As Stephen introduced me so wonderfully, I do YouTube videos online. They're all about information security. I also do videos about travel. And over the 10-year, 11-year course of my career, I've really developed a name for myself in information security and hacking. And it's something that I've really found a passion for over those 10 years, and I'm completely self-taught. So let's talk a little bit about imposter syndrome. It's something that everyone has to deal with at some time in their life. Some of us deal with it a lot better than others, but it's still very, very hard. I have Heka, I changed that because I was told I probably shouldn't cuss up here, but I have Heka imposter syndrome. It's very, very hard and scary for me to do things like this. But every single time I get an opportunity that I feel like will allow me to grow in my career, I try to beat up that imposter syndrome every time I get by saying, yes, I will do that. And I try so hard to make sure that it's something that I can be proud of. And I also do that by finding my own self-confidence and my self-esteem, which is not easy at all. These are things that you have to build throughout your life. These are things that you can help yourself build by surrounding yourself with positive people, people that really promote what you do and are happy about what you're doing, and they give you hugs, and they appreciate you, and they love you for what you're doing in your career, and they see your happiness. And surrounding yourself with that positivity really helps build self-confidence and self-esteem. So taking action, practicing, surrounding yourself with awesome individuals, and being consistent with your career, you should never just give up. Never give up. Because the more that you try, the closer you can get to building your brand. So, how have I accomplished what I have in 10 years? Well, these are just a few of the accomplishments that I've made in the 10 years. And you could just say, oh, well, she's just promoting herself. Well, that's the point of the talk. Thank you. So some of the things that I'm very proud of are the fact that I have 1,500 plus videos on the internet that are completely free and open for everyone to watch. This is completely free education, and they are very educational. In fact, I have professors that use my Linux terminal tutorials in their course material for college. I just finished a Bash programming series on my channel, an entire playlist of videos where I teach people how to start programming in Bash, and it's so much fun. And it was really exciting. I gotta say, I loved it, and now I want to do all sorts of things in Bash. It was great. I've also contributed to a bunch of different companies like CNET and NVIDIA and Sony. Whether you like them or not, these are companies I've worked with, and I'm very proud of that. And I've given 3 keynotes, including this one. 2 panels, 2 WISP talks, which is Women in Security and Privacy, and 3 university talks so far. And those are just the ones that I've been able to figure out now. And that's only 10 years into my career. I'm also a ham licensed operator, if anybody else is out there. Yes! KM6FPP, hi! So I'm very proud of what I've been able to do so far. But how did I get there? So my backstory, and it's probably very similar to many of yours out there, is that I started with nothing really developing with Linux. I had no clue what it was when I was a kid. I didn't even know it was a thing until I started with Hack 5. So I was not an overnight success. I had no background in hacking or information security or making or anything like that. Now I play with Arduinos and breadboards, and I'm programming in Bash and all this weird stuff that my mom does not understand. So when I said, yeah, I'm gonna start doing videos on Linux, my friends were just like, but you do theater. That's weird. So I said, well, yeah, but I did GeoCities videos or websites when I was 14. That counts for something, right? Yeah, HTML, woot! So my mom and dad really supported me, and even though they didn't understand what I was doing, they were totally about it. They were like, you know what? We can see that you really like this, honey, so you go for it. They were really supportive, even though they didn't get it. So my background was theater and building computers with my dad and stuff like that, but I too had to start somewhere eventually. And when I say I started building computers when I was a kid, it's definitely true. So I don't know what I was doing on that machine, but my dad had computers in my nursery room. And I grew up around them because he was a builder as well. He loved making his own machines, and when I hit around 9 or 10, my dad decided, I think you're ready to build your own computer. So he taught me how, and ever since then, I think at this point I've probably built 10 or 11 machines since then. I even taught my husband how to build a computer a few months ago. I'm so proud of him. And that's my days in theater. It's a little embarrassing, but that's, I was Cinderella. That was good times. So let's just skip that. That's also a little awkward. So I went to college for restaurant and hospitality administration, which you can obviously look at and say, that's definitely not computers whatsoever. That has nothing to do with the industry at all. It doesn't, but it also taught me a lot about how to build a business and how to build a career. So when I stepped out of college and I kind of discovered for myself, I don't actually want to run a restaurant or run a hotel or a casino or even conventions for that matter because it is so stressful. I decided that I wanted to go into something that kind of mixed the two molds of my life together, building computers and theater, both of which are passions that I've had since I was a little kid, but neither of which I could figure out how to do on their own as a career. Sure, I could own a computer shop, but I don't think that was for me. And sure, I could go into theater in like New York and try to get into Broadway, which is very competitive. But I also didn't think that was for me. While I enjoyed getting on a stage and making people excited and loving that kind of job, and while I really enjoyed building computers, I wanted to be in front of people, I wanted to educate, I wanted to entertain. So that's why I started doing Hack5, HAK5, which is the show I've been doing for 10 years now. So YouTube was established back in February of 2005. Hack5 happened in fall of 2005. So we were technically early adopters. We've been around from the very, very start. I had a meeting at that time which basically changed my future, and it was very, very much happenstance, and I just happened to have mutual friends. Networking, very, very important. So I graduated college in 2008. I started this really weird job at a bank because back in the day, YouTube did not make any money at all. You could not pay rent on YouTube, not by itself. So I had this full-time bank job, and I did some camera work for Hack5. It was really cool. And I officially started with Hack5 back in 2008, in August. And at the time, I was still kind of getting my feet wet, just sticking my toes in. And by the way, these heels are Sailor Moon heels, and they are awesome. I'm so glad there's Sailor Moon fans out there because I am obsessed. And by the way, I have a YouTube channel about Sailor Moon. So it was very, very hard to get started because I was nervous. This was something I had never gotten into. Linux, what is that? What is open source? All I know is Windows. I didn't understand any of it. But educating myself when I was going online and trying to figure out all the information was very, very hard. It was hard to find information. It was so tough. So TLDR, RTFM, kind of sucks. I hated whenever I went to forums or when I went to websites or IRC and people would just tell me, well, just RTFM, especially if I told them what my name was or if they figured out that I was a female. It was so hard to find information that would help me along in this path that I really wanted to deep and dive into. There was a lot of egotism, a lot of elitism in that crowd, and it was tough. I felt like there was no place for beginners to go if you were interested in information security or open source. So I became that resource. I figured out it didn't exist. There was no place for people to go if they wanted to learn and if they best learned from watching videos. So I decided I'm going to become that resource because it was missing, and there's probably other people out there just like me who did not know where to go to find out about open source and information security. So I keep this in here because my friend illustrated this photo based on a tweet that I just randomly made one day, where I said, never make fun of the kid who asks all the questions. I was once that kid, and people thought I was stupid. Really, though, they were just too embarrassed to ask the same thing. So I started with little to no understanding of InfoSec, but I had a willingness to learn. And that is what is so important. So what is my job title? Now that you know my history, I'm an internet media host and producer, an influencer, a brand ambassador, an educator, all of these different little things that happen when you're a YouTuber that talks about something that's education. I've had 4 to 5 years of work developing my brand, not the entire 10 years, because I did not know how important it was 10 years ago. And the work is not over because the industry is always changing. There's always something different that's happening. So let's talk about starting your career. And this can happen for whatever career you choose to go into because everybody has different passions, but you can still use this advice for whatever careers you choose. So, You need to ask yourself, what does a company need? If there's a company that you really want to work for, what does that company need and what are they hiring for? Both very important questions. And how has the industry changed over the years? You may have noticed, especially at conventions, codes of conduct have become much, much more mainstream. Even in anime conventions and InfoSec security conventions, we've seen more of these codes of conduct. And that tells us that the industry as a whole is getting a lot more diverse. And we need to be accepting of that diversity. So what are the diversity numbers? And how can you influence this industry, hashtag industry, comment, for whatever industry it might be, in a positive way? So for example, and this is just for information security because that's what I'm in, but this can also be looked at for other industries as well. You may be curious about what kind of certifications you need to get into that industry. Ask yourself if there's any certs that you are really interested in. Now, in this example, you'll notice at the very top, CompTIA Security Plus, there are a lot of certification holders. There are not a lot of openings available for those certification holders. So maybe hold off on the CompTIA Security Plus cert and look at something else like a CISSP, which has almost a 1-to-1 ratio for holders as well as openings at jobs that are requesting those certifications. So take this information into account whenever you're considering how can you get into that job. And you don't necessarily have to get certs. I don't have any certs, and I'm still able to grow a career in information security. So also, what do companies need as far as what their titles are? Look at the titles that they are interested in, and maybe consider taking some classes in college or looking up this information on YouTube, for example, promoting myself, to find what kind of titles you would like to have at different companies. And ask yourself, how has that industry changed over the years? So we noticed that information security has changed a lot in the past couple of years. And it turns out that we're going to need to fill a lot of jobs by 2022. A lot. So they are going to be spending a lot of money and they will need openings, which is why it's so crucial to have people out there who are giving them beginner information so that information security isn't scary, so that it's inviting, so that somebody can go to YouTube and see somebody like them and say, okay, I could definitely enter this career because she's doing that as well. I think I could do it too. Now, I bring this up as well because it is diversity. It's all about having all of that inclusion. When it comes to cybersecurity, only 11% of the people employed in cybersecurity, at least this is from 2017, is 11%. Those are women. That's it. That's terrible. We need to do so much better. So I hope that by being on YouTube and being so public, I can introduce some young women and some people who don't normally see themselves when they see a Hollywood hacker movie, and they will see me on YouTube and think, I could do that. That's something that I could actually do. So how can you be an influence in your industry? Well, there's a lot of different ways you can, but think about what you want to get good at. And this also goes along with building your career. So you can think about what do you want to learn and get good at? What is your focus? If you want to focus on a very specific platform, a very specific distro, if you will, or for me, if I wanted to focus on information security, but really, really dig into lockpicking, that's what I could do. I love lockpicking, by the way. It's so fun. I actually used it at the bank one time, and they were like, they wanted me to break into a safe. And they were like, well, can you do it under your desk so that the cameras don't catch you doing it? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll just bring in my lockpicks. And so I sat under my desk on the floor and I picked a lock so that they could open this till. It's like, don't forget your keys, people. Understand your best way to learn. Not everybody is going to subscribe to a YouTube channel. I know that. They're not my target market, and that's okay. You may learn best by getting certifications and having a deadline fixed that you have to hit. And then you get that cert, and everything's good. I have a ham license, so sometimes it's good for me to learn in that way when I have a deadline. It puts a little bit of stress on my head or on my shoulders, so I know I have to make sure I get it done by that time frame, and that forces me to learn what I need to learn. You could also read books or go to classes, watch videos, whatever it might be. It doesn't matter. Just find a way that you love to learn and stick with it. and compile your list of passions, but also compile a list of influencers or thought leaders or speakers or researchers, people that really influence you to do what you want to do. So start following them on social media if they are there. If they're not on social media, that's fine. Maybe they have an email address and they'd be welcoming to questions. Go to their talks at events like this. Ask questions in person. Comment on their videos if they do have a YouTube channel, or follow them on LinkedIn. Lots of people have LinkedIn. I don't use it. That's okay. Learn from those role models, because everybody can give you some kind of expertise, some information, and if they are open to that, then they are worth it. You may end up being a thought leader in their eyes. Even though I had no backing in information security 10 years ago, now I talk to people and I work with people. Some of them are my co-hosts that I used to be, I thought they were celebrities. I was just like, you're amazing, can I get your autograph? And now I'm working with them side by side. It's amazing what you can do if you just take the time to treat somebody else like a human being. It just, yeah, boggles my mind. So I follow influencers and thought leaders in a whole bunch of different areas. And this is not just information security, but it's also YouTube and on social media strategy, in technology in general. So there's lots of different places that, of course, we have passions in. So maybe, even though you want to get into an open source career, you could learn something else from somebody who's a social media strategist. So it's really advisable to not just follow the people directly in your career path, but also follow people right outside of it that you can also learn things from. And keep on learning, because you can never stop learning. Sponge up as much information as you can. Block out time every single day to do something that is on your list. Do it every single day. No matter what. Make it become a habit. I believe it takes like 30 to 60 days, depending on who you are, to make something into a habit. I'm trying to learn Morse code right now on my phone, and it is so hard. It is so hard. But I'm a ham licensed operator, and my last name is Morse. So I was like, I feel like I should. I feel like I should probably learn Morse code. It's it's like a family tradition, you know? Make it a routine and never stop learning. Whether that's like learning Morse code on your phone while you're sitting on the toilet, or if it's doing something else, it doesn't matter, just make it a habit. Now, build your business. You're ready. Build that resume. Build it with conviction in mind. Now, I didn't drop out of college, but if I did, I would make sure to put on my resume something like this. Missouri State, 2003 to 2004, hiatus. Major in network admin, minor in philosophy. That's an example, obviously. I majored in restaurant and hospitality administration. But that way, you're not necessarily saying, hey, I flunked out, or hey, I dropped out. It looks much more inviting, and it's much more positive to say, oh, I put this on a hiatus, because it tells them that you didn't continue going to college because you had something else that you really wanted to get into. Create a one-pager. This is kind of like a mini resume, but it's a little bit more trendy and flashy. This is the kind of thing that you can easily share online, and you don't necessarily have to put all of your information on it. So it's very useful for getting an introduction into somebody, especially if you're networking with them at events like conventions. Networking, of course, at conventions, also a wonderful thing to do, and business cards, which are still important. I know we all can just like take pictures of our bands or our lanyards, or we can just take pictures of a business card or whatever it might be, or go to LinkedIn and follow them. But it's still nice to have a business card, because they'll take that home and they will remember that you gave it to them, especially if your picture is on it. So build your platform. Now, you might think that you don't need to have a platform, but I believe that everybody has their own platform. Everyone has something to say, something that's important in life to share with the world. And that's why I think that you should also build your platform. Maybe you don't want to do YouTube, and that's fine. That means more people will subscribe to my stuff, so I'm down. But you might want to share something else that you learned at your business. So I think it's so important to be able to build some kind of platform, because you're becoming this expert. You have opinions on your topic. You've been doing it. You've been building your business. So what do? You build your platform. Do speaking gigs. Write articles. If you don't want to do speaking gigs, you could write articles online. You could publish videos like I do. You could answer forum questions on some of the most popular forums or IRC. You could offer advice. I mention IRC a lot because we still use it at Hack5. It's so cool. It's really fun. I can't help it. It's like better than Discord sometimes. Don't hate. So, using your platform for good, if you can afford it, and this is something that I've been trying to do more often nowadays, offer complimentary sessions or some kind of free classes or something for underrepresented groups in your industry. This not only will help you get better at your profession, but it also introduces your name to a lot of the younger generation that will be coming in. And also, don't undersell yourself. Now, one time I was going to work with this company, a very big brand, and they came to me and asked me to do a series of videos for them. And of course I was just like, oh yeah, sure, totally, like what rate? I don't know what to ask for, and they kind of lowballed me. So I went to one of my friends who's been one of my mentors for a long time. His name is Tom Merritt. I'm sure he won't mind me shouting him out. Hi, Tom. And I said, what do you think I should ask for? What do you think I'm worth? And he was like, well, take what you think you're worth and just double it and see what they say. They accepted it. It was awesome. We naturally think we're not worth what we actually are. And when they accept it, it just blows your mind. But then you're like, wait, should I have asked for more? But I was pretty happy with it. I was like, all right, cool. So build your personal brand. And this is very, very important. What is a personal brand? So this is where you would establish and promote your skills and experiences. What makes you uniquely you? What is different from everybody else around you? What differentiates you from others in your industry? What do you stand for? And why should a client trust you? All very important questions. This will end up leading you to interviews, job advances or positions. I'm self-employed, so that doesn't affect me. Partnerships or sponsorships definitely affects me. Speaking engagements, very important. Passive income, that's when you do something online, you stick a little buy it now thing on there, or subscribe now, and then people just subscribe on their own time. That's passive income. Incredible opportunities arise when you build your personal brand. And developing the blocks of your personal brand, your building blocks, this ends up bringing up a few questions. Like, what are your core values, your strengths, your amassed skill sets? List all of these out and try to understand what your skill sets are. What is your training and experience? What are your accomplishments? What are your weaknesses? What do you like and dislike? What do you want to achieve in life? What will it mean to be successful in the near and the distant future? Now, I hate the question, what do you want to do in 5 years? Because I'm like, I want to do this. I love what I'm doing. It's awesome. Anytime somebody asks me that, I feel like they're saying, well, you're not successful, so what do you want to do in 5 years? Because you still need to get better. I do believe I still need to get better, but I'm happy doing what I'm doing. What obstacles have you overcome? What are your passions? What inspires you to succeed? How are you different or unique? And what or who truly makes you happy? Surround yourself with those positive people and write your vision statement. And live by that vision statement, not just write it. Just like codes of conduct, make sure that you are actually living that vision statement, online and offline, very important. And 5 ways to promote your brand. What is your agenda? Make sure that people know your brand through and through. Now, this isn't actually my personal brand, but it gives you an idea of some of the words that I live by. I'm a purple hair hacker who actively promotes and attends cons that stand for diversity. I sponsor cons that have codes of conduct. I speak out about harassment and inequality. I do, if you check my Twitter ever. I educate the newcomers. I welcome all questions. I think every question is an important one. I like pink and purple and glitter and Sailor Moon and candy and Starbucks because I'm totes basic, and that's okay. So self-reflect, understand your personal brand, prioritize your skills and your characteristics and expectations. Avoid anyone who holds you back from your personal brand. And this will allow you to identify how to showcase your own self, your best self, once you understand those strengths and those weaknesses. and you will stand out from your peers and from competition, although I think that nobody is competition. They're actually people you can learn from. Build your tribe of followers and people that support you online, and be human. Have more meaningful interactions with others. All of this happens when you build that personal brand. You establish your credibility, you demonstrate your values, your core values. You elevate your social proof to other people online. You solidify your niche. My niche is newcomers that are into Linux terminal. My niche is newcomers that are into information security. That's my thing, because nobody else was doing it. Convey your message and values and be more confident. And guess what? You just built your own personal brand. Congratulations. Now you can do some shameless self-promotion, so do it. Now, this is very important. If you don't control and manage your brand, others will do it for you. Now, if you don't exist online, others will make sure that you do, especially if they don't agree with you. So you need to protect yourself. Where do you draw that privacy line? This is so important. Now, this, of course, differs from person to person, but one of the best ways that I've figured out where my line is drawn as far as what matters to me as far as security and privacy was quizzing myself and asking myself, what are those important things? Now, for example, I am totally fine with being transparent about how much I make on Patreon, which is a crowdfunding platform. So people can go there and they can see exactly how much I'm bringing in minus the Patreon fees. With that said, I don't really share how much I make from sponsorships, which I don't get very often. But since that money is separate, I decided that any money that comes from sponsorships should be used for personal things like paying my rent, while any money that comes from Patreon will get put directly back into the show so that I can purchase a new camera like this one that I kind of broke on Monday, and I had to go to the Sony store and buy a new one. That was fun, a little freaked out. Different country, whew, thank God they had a Sony store. Privacy-affiliated resources are also very, very important. There's joindeleteme.com, which is something I recently joined. It's a wonderful service. It is rather expensive, but they do have coupons during the holidays, so FYI, check it out, it's amazing. They delete you off of all of the white page websites, the ones that get all of your information and just list it out, people finders, basically. So they delete all that information, which is wonderful. Password managers are wonderful, different passwords on all sites. You of course know that, but maybe somebody doesn't. Two-factor authentication, especially if you're using hardware authentication like YubiKeys. Or you can use an app if you don't have YubiKeys available to you. I definitely don't support SMS two-factor authentication. I'm sure you know why. And guest versus home networks, especially if you have Internet of Things devices that aren't necessarily secure. Putting those on some kind of guest network will help secure your home network so you don't run into problems. Now, I include this not because, well, I am a huge fan of Marie Kondo, huge fan, but also because she makes some very valid points. What sparks joy in your life? You can take this to the digital world and you can clean up your digital life. So clean up your social media accounts, clean up your LinkedIn. If you have a YouTube channel from when you were young and you used to post like really drunken videos, don't ask why I bring this up, but you might want to delete those. So clean up your personal life so that it sparks joy for you. And make sure that you continue to protect yourself. Yes, I included this picture because I am a Lord of the Rings fan. Yes, I am taking a tour. So consider smart sharing. This would be being social while hiding sensitive information like barcodes, or if your con badge has a QR code on it, make sure to hide that. I recently went to CES and it turns out the little QR code on the badges had your email address and your full name. Yes, right? Flight tickets, those can be scammed. Keys, those can be 3D printed. Addresses, we all know what happens with addresses, right? People show up at your front door. Don't ask how I know. Stories, story time, yes. Have a plan of action as well. If you do run into any of these security issues, make sure that you know how to handle it. So think about all the things that might happen in the future, and make sure that you have a plan of action. And make sure that you're ready to deal with targeted harassment, because what happens is, since you created your personal brand, you're going to have people that are interested in taking you down. You start to attract that attention. So what do? Keep notes. Make screenshots. Make sure that you're keeping track of the people that are targeting you with harassment. Know who to contact, whether it's a police officer, who I have had to get involved in previous cases, whether it's the FBI or your country's service. There's always somebody out there that could help you, or maybe it's a community-driven engagement platform that can help you with that harassment. If there are trolls that you're dealing with, block them, banhammer them. If they are on your own forum that you're running, make sure you have a way to implement some kind of code of conduct online or a policy that deals with these kind of people. Because somebody is always going to be out there that will be angry at you for doing what you do. You could troll back. It's not necessarily my favorite thing to do, but it's possible. Now, you may ask, why do I do this? There's YouTube comments, there's judgment. Why do I do it? Well, I would rather have a troll waste their energy on me, since I've been doing this for 10 years and I have a pretty thick skin, than troll the brand new person that is just getting into information security and might get pushed away because they see one troll that comments something about their personal lives, and they hate it. They just don't want to get into the career because they think everyone is like that. So troll me, that's fine. I will totally handle it, and so will my friends at the FBI. They're jealous. They're jealous because you're successful. At this point, people are always going to hate you online. They're angry. They want to be where you are. They will tell you that you don't belong here. I mean, we heard this in the keynote from yesterday. You don't belong here. That's something that people hear in the industry. But you know what I can say? My accomplishments, bringing it back, they speak for themselves. And this is what I've done over 10 years, and I have done so much more that I couldn't think of when I was writing my keynote speech. These are all the different things that you can do in your own industry. You can have so many accomplishments, and nobody can take that away from you because you are the person that did those. You're the person that made it happen, nobody else. Those accomplishments speak for themselves, and nobody can take that away from me. So why don't I quit? It's because of everyone here in this audience. It's because of everyone in the overfill rooms. Hi. Hi, guys. Yes, I'm waving at you. Hello. There we go. It's because of you. Don't do a job that you don't like. Don't do it for fame or for fortune. Do it because you're passionate. Do it because you love it. Do it because you want to change someone's life. That's what I got into this for, because I found a niche, I loved it, and it was something that was missing, and I knew that I could change somebody's life. So when I see a young girl that comes up to me at DEF CON, and she tells me that she's been watching the show since she was 5 years old, and she's 9 years old now, and she wants to get a job in information security, that's what I'm doing this for. That's why I got into this career. And I hope that I'm living, or I hope that you live your dream job as well, just like I am now. So I just want to say thank you, not just for having me up here, but for giving me a chance to hopefully share my love and my joy of what I do with you. And I really hope that it inspired and motivated you as well to do something that you enjoy and to hopefully change some lives. So, sources for links, questions if you have them, and awesome you are. Thank you.
Thank you very much for making the journey all this way to come and speak for us today.
Absolutely.
And as a very small token of appreciation, I'd like to present you with this gift.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.